All right, me and Julio down by the schoolyard. Talking winning is everything. 20 wins, most by a pitcher last season. Then Adams Apple Wainwright, 17. Garrett Cole, 16. Hey, Bueller. And then Mad Max, 15, of course, no longer on the Nationals. Ooh.
I absolutely hate the way you introed that segment, but okay.
I know.
I
know you do.
We have DraftKings contributors Steve Buchanan and Garion Thorne here with us to talk about this stuff. I'm certain they also hated that intro. Guys, big news though. That's not an April Fool's joke. Jacob
Well,
DeGrom,
at least we think so. I mean, Buster Olney's the one who tweeted it out.
Yeah, Jacob DeGrom going in for an MRI. Ooh, not great.
No. How nervous are you right now? If you're the Mets, Garion?
I don't know if you can be more nervous than you've just been the last 3 years with their medical staff and their medical history. Look, I don't want to say that I'm like shocked by this. I think everyone was kind of waiting for the other foot to drop at some point with DeGrom. But it's just super disappointing. I think everyone wanted to see him pitch. It's spring training, granted, but he had been dominating spring training. I believe he had a 50% strikeout rate and an infinite strikeout to walk ratio, which is kind of cool. It's just disappointing, but at this point, I think it's kind of par for the course.
Yeah, Steve, obvious stay away spot here. He's got the 5th best odds, right, for wins leader, plus 1,000.
Yeah, you don't want that at all. I would not. There's a million bets you can take on the DraftKings Sportsbook. You don't need to take that one.
Okay.
All right, speaking of one of the million bets that you can take on the DraftKings Sportsbook, the favorite to lead MLB in wins this season, currently Yankees ace Garrett Cole at plus 650. Steve, do you agree he should be the favorite here?
Wow, that sounds awful. I don't know why anybody would be going on the DraftKings Sportsbook right now and be like, boy, I want Garrett Cole to lead in wins. Let me tell you something about that division he's going to be pitching in. Every single team, with the exception of the Orioles, are going to be uber competitive. And I know that that's how it was last year, but the Blue Jays obviously made some massive moves this season. The Rays are always going to be competitive. The Red Sox are going to be competitive. That is not a division that I want to be taking somebody to lead the league in wins. Now, you want to take maybe potentially a pitcher in a division that is extremely weak. That would lead me to the AL Central. Guys like, Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease, those would be guys that I'd be looking towards. This is kind of showing my hand for the next question here. But those are guys that are in weak divisions that could realistically lead the league in wins, because the White Sox, along with the Dodgers, are two of the biggest favorites to win their division this season. So taking a pitcher from one of those teams feels like a safe play to make.
Garion, is this division just too strong? You don't think Garrett Cole can get there?
I mean, he could. I think what this is instructive of is kind of figuring out why Garrett Cole is the favorite to lead the league in wins, and then sort of working backwards from there to find other guys that you like for some of the reasons that Steve was pointing out. I mean, wins are the most capricious stat in baseball. I would say, just out of a rule of thumb, do not take the overwhelming favorite in a statistical category that they almost have no control over. So that's sort of just how I would go about this in general. But the reason Cole is the favorite is he checks all of the boxes that you would want to see. He's a good pitcher. He pitches for what you would believe to be a very, very good team. And more specifically, since the beginning of 2018, he leads baseball in innings pitched. And because he's done that, he leads baseball in wins. You just need guys who you know are going to go out there and put up volume. And so far, Cole has been someone who you can trust to do that. Again, I would not bet Garrett Cole, but you can use that archetype to kind of find someone at better value.
Steve, did you have a comment there? You made like one of those,
Oh, he said Garrett Cole is a good pitcher. So I was like, that's all.
All right. Gare Bear, a dark horse you like in this category. Who is it?
So yeah, using those similar parameters, I think someone like Jose Barrios, 15-1, just because he's someone who consistently has thrown 200 innings a season. That's kind of his greatest skill. The Blue Jays should be a pretty good team. I do worry, like Steve mentioned, that taking someone in the American League East is a little bit worrisome just because of the talent in the matchups. But again, I think he's going to start 32 games, and that's really where you have to begin with this kind of bet. My favorite bet would probably be Aaron Nola at 25-1. I just think he is due for so much positive regression in 2022. His underlying numbers last season were fantastic. And again, just simplifying this down to volume, Since 2018, it is Aaron Nola who leads all pitchers in baseball in games started, 111. This guy just takes the ball every 5 days and gives the Phillies a chance to win. And I think very importantly, the Phillies, I mean, it's still the Phillies. It's like betting on the Mets' health. I understand that when it comes to the Phillies bullpen, but they have improved their bullpen. You would hope that they blow far fewer leads for Aaron Nola when he has left these games. But I think the Phillies are going to be a very, very good team this season. I think their offensive potential is fantastic. So I just think this is the best environment Aaron Nola has had to actually win games the past couple of seasons. And you know he's going to take 33, maybe even 34 starts, depending how they dole it out towards the end of the season. Shane McClanahan is another name I'm kind of interested in, just for the sense that Tampa's going to find a way to win 105 games. And while the book on most Tampa starters is 3.5, 4 innings and they're out of there, getting ready for the bullpen, I went back to last season. McClanahan, his last 17 starts when he'd really established himself in that rotation, 15 of those he pitched at least 5 innings. And not surprisingly, pitching for the Rays, 8 of those games were wins. He is 40-1. I think there's some decent value there for a guy who could be in his breakout campaign this year.
All right, Steven, who's your dark horse here?
Dylan Cease, I kind of mentioned this earlier, someone that's really, really interesting here, as you can get way down the list here. I believe he was 50-1 when I checked earlier this morning, but I'm sorry, 40-1. But he's somebody that really intrigues me. This is somebody who made 32 starts last year, had 13 wins. He's just got a couple of things that he needs to work on. If he can continue to get those walks down, I mean, he really could be a solid pitcher. This is someone who had a 3.41 FIP last season, 3.72 expected, and he's got some really good strikeout stuff. The only thing that was the kind of a downtrodden for him was that he wasn't going overly deep into games. He really rarely went over 6 innings pitched. I don't know if they were trying to limit his innings a little bit last year, but he's got some nasty, nasty stuff, and he's on a White Sox team that should be one of the top teams in that division, if not the top team in that division, aside from the Twins. So when you have some of those other teams that you can beat up on, I mean, that's a path to get some wins. And, like I mentioned, with the White Sox being the overwhelming favorite in that division, they should be putting up a lot of wins. And if Cease can really kind of put it all together this year, I don't think you can find a better value than him at 40-1.